What's going on, everybody? You guys are checking out the Blue Chip Football Podcast. I'm Stan, this is Cody, and we're going to do a little pod today about talking about blue chip talents on the defensive side of the football in this 2022 NFL Draft.
Yes, sir.
And I think we want to talk a little briefly about just send our condolences out to Dwayne Haskins' family, his former teammates, and relatives and friends. It's just a really sad story. We heard about that this morning, and Definitely not a great way to start the day, and just really kind of shook us up.
Yeah, it definitely puts life into perspective, man, that every day is a blessing.
100%.
Love your family. Tell everybody that you love. Tell them that you love them. It's never too late, never too early.
Yep, no doubt.
All right, so this is the Blue Chip Podcast, so we are going to do something to the name of our podcast. This is why we call this the Blue Chip Podcast. We like identifying talent in the draft. We specialize in draft breakdown and player prospect breakdown. So we're doing a Blue Chip Podcast today on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to explain what makes these players blue chip players, and I think we're going to start today with Ahmad Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner is a corner, Cincinnati. Everybody knows who he is. He's 6'3". I think he's about 190. He has a lot of blue chip traits about him for sure. What I think makes him really great is just how he's so versatile, I'd say. I think that there's pretty much no scheme that he couldn't play in the NFL. I think he could get drafted by any of the 32 teams and he would flourish in their system. Just with height, weight, speed. He ran a 4.41 at the combine.
Definitely ran a 4.41. Man, he's sticky. He's a little slight. That's kind of the book on this guy. He's got a little skinny frame. He came in at 160 pounds out of high school. He's about 190 now. He didn't do any other tests, but as you can see on the film, man, he's rock solid, man. This guy is sticky like glue. I've really struggled with a player comp for this guy because honestly, man, I don't really have one. When you're that tall and you're that long, you usually don't have the fluidity and the agility and the breakdown like that this guy has. So, I mean, realistically, man, this guy's a hybrid between like a couple different players if you really want to go. I mean, like, I wouldn't say he has the interception. He can definitely get interceptions like Antonio Cromartie. He has the size of Antonio Cromartie and the speed, and that's very all similar as far as that goes. But man, I mean, this guy is sticky like glue, man. I'm almost talking like Patrick Peterson level.
Yeah, I was listening to another pod. I'm trying to remember who it was. I wish I could give him credit because they threw out the comp for Nnamdi Asomugha. I thought that was kind of a good comp. I haven't really watched Nnamdi, and it's been a long time since I've watched him play. I mean, he hasn't been in the NFL for a really long time, but I kind of remember him having like a bigger frame and just
he does. But I think Sauce is a little bit better in zone, and I think his ball skills are a little better. That's why I say it's really hard. It's really hard to find a comp because he just does everything rock solid, and that's why he is my number one overall rated player on my board.
Yeah, you're very high on him, and I think the league is really high on him.
I think he is too. I think these Cincinnati players are rock solid. I mean, from top to bottom, defense, offense. I mean, they got a good thing that they're building there.
Yeah, that's a really great program. If I set the over-under at like 7 players from Cincinnati to come out this year, I think I would take the over.
Okay, so like basically what makes this guy the Blue Chip Podcast? Okay, like you see this guy coming off the edge right here, man, getting after the quarterback. I mean, like he tackles well. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he's a little bit slight, man, but when you watch, I mean, he does not shy away from contact, man. I mean, he can rush the passer off the edge on cornerback blitzes. He plays zone very, very well. He is scheme diverse. That makes him blue chip in my mind because any team that's going to run any kind of variation of defense, whatever package, if you want to run zone, off, like press man, you want to run him off in the zone. He's going to flourish in all of them. His eyes are really good. Like I said, I mean, he's quick twitch, for a guy that's his size. I mean, like you say, he didn't test at the combine, but he just has everything that you want from a player.
I don't think you really need to see much at the combine from him. I think his tape really speaks for itself, and I think if you're going to see that result on draft day, I don't think he's getting out of the top 10.
Exactly. He's
definitely not getting out of the top 11.
Right. He's rock solid, man. I mean, this is, like I said, this guy has my highest grade in this class just simply because, I mean, like, you just don't see cornerbacks like this come along. I mean, you see a couple guys, like, this is the best cornerback class that I've scouted in a long time.
It is a really good class.
And I don't even think he's safe. Like, I think, like, they talk about high floors and, or like, low floors and high ceilings. I mean, this guy has a high floor and a very high ceiling.
With upside.
Right. I mean, not giving up a touchdown. I mean, like, this dude is just, I mean, when they did throw the ball at him, nobody did anything against him. And I mean, it was not just against, the the non-Power 5 schools. I mean, it was against the Georgias, it was against the Alabamas, dude. This guy is rock solid as a prospect. He's about as safe as they come, and he's also about as elite as they come. From the cornerback position.
If you want to go watch some tape on Sauce, I remember I was watching some tape on him a couple weeks ago. I went back and watched his tape. I think it was not this past year, but the year before from SMU. He shut down their number one wide receiver. I'm trying to remember. I think his name's Reggie Robertson.
Reggie Robertson.
Yeah. Nothing for him that game.
No,
Nothing for him.
Dude. Honestly, it really didn't matter who they matched up against him. Whether it was a quick twitch guy, whether it was a long lanky guy. I mean, you can't outjump this guy. Like he plays the ball like a receiver. When it's a 50-50 ball. I mean, he hits. I mean, it's just everything. He has the total package as a gamer, man, and he doesn't even have an injury history. Like, I mean, because availability is a trait.
What are the chances you think Jacksonville takes him number one?
0.
0?
I think there's 0%. I mean, just because we're high on this guy, but these edge rushers and the positional value, which is part of what we're going to get into as we get down this list. It's positional value matters, and corners are definitely valued in this pass first league now. They might even be tipping the scales more towards what the edge rushers are.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's 0. I think they got to keep getting tougher on inside the trenches, man. I mean, I think that's what they want to do, and I think that's more what they're looking to do.
I think maybe 3 to Houston, maybe might be something that you could see. I think 4 to the Jets. I think he's
I could see Detroit going after him.
Yeah, I could see something like that. I mean, that's something that a lot of people haven't talked about. But Detroit, I mean, I feel like they're just in a position to take the best player that they have on their board. So
yeah, I mean, Detroit can go with any player that they want. I mean, there is definitely this little bit of quarterback height that they're talking about right now.
Yeah.
But I think we've pretty much nailed the Sauce Gardner. Which is going to lead us to our next player.
Kyle Hamilton. That's your second player on your board, right?
Second
player.
Second guy
he's
on the board.
On the defensive backs this year, and everybody else is too. I mean, it's a great class to get it. If you need a defensive back in the first round, you're in a good position because there's going to be a good one available.
Yeah, I mean,
Kyle Hamilton is no exception to that. I mean, what is he? 6? I mean, I can pull up his measure. I'm pretty sure he's 6'4", right?
6'4", 220. 220 plus.
Yeah, 220. He's big, and
so people were kind of knocking him because it's 40 time. He ran a 4.59, then ran a 4.7 something at his pro day. People are knocking the short shuttle, which when you're a long, lanky guy, short shuttles can be your worst enemy.
Yeah.
But then you look at his 3-cone. His 3-cone is up there with Jacob.
His 3-cone is 6'9", 6.9.
Yeah, so I mean it's up there. It's not to the elite.
It's a very nice 3-cone.
It is a very nice 3-cone. it is a 3-cone that when you look at a guy his size, that's not usually the type of 3-cone that they have. So it tells you that he has all the explosion. It tells you that he has everything. And I also think he's still nursing somewhat of an injury. I don't think he had the time and the preparation to actually train for the 40 and do all the things that most of these other guys have been doing all offseason, training for the 40 and just everything that they do. This guy is a hitter, and he is instinctual. Like, when you talk about instincts and traits, I'm not comping this guy to Ed Reed because Ed Reed is the best to ever do it. As far as I
don't know if I'd ever comp anybody to Ed Reed.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not comping him to him. But what I am saying is what Ed Reed had is when the ball is in the air, no wasted motion. Ed Reed wasn't a 4.35 guy, but Ed Reed also never put himself out of position, was always baiting quarterbacks, always had his eyes on the backfield, and always was where the ball was. And that's when you watch Kyle Hamilton, when Notre Dame was getting blown out against Alabama, Kyle Hamilton in the fourth quarter was still making plays. That is a trait to me. That tells me that no matter what his team is doing, this guy is giving full effort all the time. And that is something that I'm sorry, if there's a certain group of players that I'm willing to lose with, he is the type of guy on the list that I'm willing to lose with.
I like Kyle Hamilton a lot. I don't know if I would take him first overall. I think there's maybe a couple other guys that I think I would take. Maybe if I'm really high on Jermaine Johnson. I'm really high on Aiden Hutchinson. I actually think I have a higher grade on Sauce than I do Kyle Hamilton. But Hamilton is an exceptional football player. So good. And I think he's a guy that you could really just build a defense around. And if you want, if you listen to the Move the Sticks podcast with DJ and Bucky brought up something. He's like, if you're building a defense, it's like a Christmas tree, and it's like you need that star on the top, and it's just like that is Kyle Hamilton. It's like that's a guy you can have wear the green dot, call out the blitzes.
I was just about to go there. This guy can be the Tyrann Mathieu, for what Tyrann Mathieu was doing with the green dot. There are a few safeties in the league. Very few, and they're very far between. But safety's a rare breed in this league, and people devalue safety because realistically, there's classes where there's not even one. There's not even one where you look at like a red chip. Sometimes they're not even gray. Like last year, like there was one safety that I would have taken in that draft, like at any point in the draft, as far as before the third round, and expected any kind of starter production out of, and that was Javon Holland. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't safeties in the later rounds that I had grades on that doesn't have traits. That goes back to the traits.
Right,
it's how many traits can you stack on top of each other to end up with the overall grade that makes you a blue chip prospect.
Right.
There weren't many. Javon Holland in this class, to me, would be under Kyle Hamilton. He would be right above Jaquan Brisker and right under Dax Hill.
So you're saying that it would, if he was this year, it would be Hamilton, Dax Hill, Holland, Brisker,
and Brisker. That would be my four.
It's pretty close to what I would say.
Right,
I would probably go about that.
And people talk about the positional value for the safety, but it's like realistically, nobody cares about a safety until they don't have one.
Right.
Like nobody talk like, oh, they're not important. Oh, safeties aren't important because they're on the back end. They just don't affect the plays. But guess what? When they're out of position, they affect the play.
Yeah.
Because when a quarterback catches them flat-footed, it's a touchdown. It's a 6. Deshaun Jackson just burnt you. You're 6 points in one play. So trust me, safeties are very important. People just don't talk about them like that.
Right. Absolutely.
The man can cover. The man has feet. He's a gunner. Like, special teams ace, dude. I mean, like, it's right here on the highlight, man. Like, this dude just is a gunner on special teams as a guy that you knew was going to be a number one team, like, pick for a team. I mean, in the first round, like, this guy's like hype is right there with anybody. I mean, this is the best safety that I think I've seen since Eric Berry.
I mean, I think I have a higher grade on Derwin James, but Derwin James had the durability issues.
That was the knock on Derwin James, and I mean, Derwin James was a blue chip player coming out in his class too, along with Mika Fitzpatrick. But it's like, Mika Fitzpatrick was, that hybrid guy. So it's like, that was kind of early in the hybrid days where it was like, well, what is his role? What are we going to do with him? Just like the Honey Badger when he came out. Now, the Honey Badger had a lot of off-the-field things, but it's like, these teams are still trying to figure out what to do with these guys that can play nickel corner or outside linebacker and, strong safety, in the box, or also, single high. Like, they still have a talent and ability. It's just like, but where do you put these guys? Well, some of these guys just... You just find the place for them against the matchup that you're going on week to week. Like if this team has a stud running back, you just say, hey man, you're spying this running back. Hey, this guy has a tight end. That's who you're playing this week. It's like, Kyle Hamilton, I would not put in as a single high safety 17 weeks out of the season, because I promise you, then you're wasting him and you're just honestly just taking a huge impact out of your lineup for a guy that can make a huge impact on a 17-week basis.
All right, I think we covered Kyle Hamilton. We're going to move on to your third player that we have listed, Trayvon Walker, edge, defensive line. I mean, people say he's an edge. I mean, I guess he's technically an edge player, but I think he's a defensive lineman. I just think he can play all over the defensive line of scrimmage, and that's Trayvon Walker from Georgia, 6'5". I don't know, 272 is what he weighed in at the combine, and he actually tore the combine up statistically, and I think he might have got a little overshadowed by some other Georgia players, but he's getting pub right now. I mean, he's getting love, and
I mean, he's getting love for the same reason that realistically, when I grade my players, when I have a very similar grade on a player, which athletic ability and all their traits, that definitely comes into it. I mean, you want the production, and of course, I'm going to have a higher grade on production with Aiden Hutchinson and with Jermaine Johnson, but am I going to knock Walker for getting a half a tackle or getting not a solo tackle because Jordan Davis is right there stopping the run with him? Like there's five dogs in that. There's 7 dogs in that front seven. Along with a rotation at Georgia. It's like no one player in that defense gets highlighted, but every one of them at any given time shows every one of their elite traits that they have. The guy can drop back. Like, he can realistically play 3-4 outside linebacker, or he can play with his hand in the dirt at a 4-3 D end. And I don't think there's a drop off or he'd be better in this one or this one. I think he can play the nickel, and if you run 3-4 as the nickel, he can play outside backer.
I think he can play the kind of like the Cam Hayward Cam Jordan and like Brandon Graham,
where he could even like put his hand down in the dirt in a 3-man front.
That's what I'm saying. He could be like the 3-4 defensive end.
But he has but he has much more than just they have, because they are not dropping into coverage.
No.
Like, this guy can drop into coverage. This guy will get his hands on a tight end and just take him out of a play.
Yeah, very good against the run. Claw brings down people at the point of contact.
Short tackle, right? Short tackle.
Hands on him, he rips him down.
And I mean, the thing about it is like, dude, like, you look at this guy's tape and you're like, okay, well, how technical is he? Like, when I start to think about his lower trait grades that I have from, okay, technical skills, hand usage. Like, does he have the second move or the third move? Everybody wants that, like, that pitch count for a guy. They want him to have the slide or the change up in the fastball. And, can he throw a good curve, though, too? It's like, well, maybe he doesn't have the best spin move, but this guy can go speed to power. This guy can come off the edge.
Speed to power, for sure.
And he has very good bend. So, yeah, when you get this guy in there and you start coaching him up on how to use his hands, and trust me, he's an athletic freak. So I promise you that I'm pretty sure one day we'll start seeing this guy hit a massive spin move on the left tackle one day, and you're just gonna be like, holy shit. like he's got all the ability to do it. And that's why I actually have him above, because, like I said, the production is not up there with the Aiden Hutchinson, but his impact on the field, even when he's not the guy making the play, he might impact the play because he got the guy to step up into the D tackle, or he's the guy that he held the guy down there until the help came when it was in the open field. Like, he does not miss these things. And I think these things are very critical for a guy that you're going to draft in this range. Realistically, he has, I think, just as much of a chance to go number 1 overall as I think any of these edge rushers do. I think you're not going wrong with any of them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Hutchinson, the league is the highest on, so I think he will go the highest. But I mean, in my opinion, I think you could take any one of maybe your top 3 ranked edge rushers, and I think you're getting a stud player.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, you're not going wrong with any of these guys.
Yeah, you want to move on to Aiden Hutchinson?
We are going to Aiden Hutchinson. That's exactly where we're going, because
yes,
there's this conception about Aiden Hutchinson that he is just this high motor, and oh, okay, well, high motor, that means no. This guy is trait up.
He's complete.
Like he is athletic.
As a pass rusher, he has everything you want. He has moves. He has power. He can pull an offensive lineman around and just dictate where he wants him to go, so he can get his clearest path to the quarterback. He played in the Big Ten. Dominated the Big Ten. And,
I mean, you're a Michigan guy, so trust me, we watch plenty of Aiden Hutchinson.
I'm trying not to slot drool all over him, but I mean, he's just I love watching him, and he might be like one of my favorite prospects to ever come out of my school, because last year I thought he was actually going to come out, and I was just like, man, he's going to be he could be a first round pick. He's such a good player, and he came back, and we beat Ohio State this year, and he said he wanted to come back to beat Ohio State, and he did. It's just like,
he did it.
It's like. I'm in love with him.
What can I say? This guy's a dog.
He's awesome. He's great.
This guy's a dog. I don't have his stats in front of me, and I'm not going to act like I do. But
he had 12 sacks last year.
12 sacks. But even on the 12 sacks, how many tackles for loss, or how many plays did he just...
Yes.
Like, even the plays like where they did like little counter trays and stuff on, or like, the zone reads that he just... Like the quarterback didn't even have a choice. Like, he was like, well, do I give it to the running back or do I hold it? I mean, how many of those was he just right there on that he just interrupted and blew up plays? Like, it was week in and week out, man. I mean, dude, like,
Yeah. He's big too. 6'7" was he? I think he's 260. Yeah, 260 is what he's weighed in at. And long arms. I mean, he's gonna be a great pro.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, he's twitched up too. Like that's where I talk about with like the high motor like thing. Yes, his gas tank is on 100 on the last play of the game, and it's on 100 the first play of the game, and every play in between. But this dude, it comes off the ball like an elite athlete. So it's like, okay, maybe he doesn't run a 4.55, but I don't need this guy running a 4.55 in the 40. Like, you're not running 40 yards to the quarterback. You're running about 12.
Yeah,
and his 12 is pretty impressive.
The only time he'll ever be running that fast is if he's picks up the ball and is running to the end zone.
Now, what I will say about Aiden Hutchinson, I think this was the difference for me in the grading and the slotting for Aiden Hutchinson and Trayvon Walker. I think Trayvon Walker is a Pro Bowl 3-4 outside linebacker or DN.
Right.
I think Aiden Hutchinson needs to be a 4-3 DN.
I agree. I think he's a hand in the dirt.
He is a hand in the dirt guy, and that little bit was the difference. Only in the ranking,
yeah.
Not in the grading, because in the grading Aiden Hutchinson's production, Aiden Hutchinson's mental, like his just everything you see on this from this guy's
reminds me a lot of Jared Allen.
Right. I mean,
like Jared Allen was never a linebacker. He was always a 4-3 defensive
right.
end.
I want this guy coming
and
forward.
in the dirt, just relentless motor, just want and just a leader. Just that's who he's. That's a guy you build your defense around, and whoever gets him is going to get a stud player.
You're not going wrong with this guy.
Right.
This guy's durable as hell.
Do you think that he benefited a little bit from playing across from David Ajabo?
Well, dude,
I think Ajabo probably
I was about to say, I think it's the other way around. And honestly, dude, if that's where we were going with this, then I mean, how could I even put Trayvon Walker ahead of him? Because I mean, he played against murderers. He played beside Murderers Row. I mean, realistically, I mean, that cannot be the impact of what makes him ahead or is the deciding factor above it, because individually is how we're grading these guys. Ultimately, when you look at a guy that has the guy across from him, or they have the defensive tackle across from him, you have to figure out which one is really the guy. And Aiden Hutchinson, to me, is definitely the guy. Like, he's the one that makes everybody else better. Trayvon Walker is a guy that makes everyone else better. Like, yes, there is, Jordan Davis and all these other guys on Georgia, but dude, like Trayvon Walker definitely did his due. Again, like these guys are all impact players in their own right, and they will impact the performance of the guys across from them, beside them, in the weight room. Like, I mean, these guys, you can just tell, man, they're just relentless. Like from the first snap to the end of the game. And I mean, when you have that kind of motor and you have that kind of relentlessness, and you have Aiden Hutchinson's like hand usage and his power and strength, and just actually, man, how low he bends when he's actually like coming in, and how he just gets under guys' pads. I'm telling you, man, this guy is about as, I mean, you talk about safe, but I'm talking about elite, man. This guy has elite upside.
All right, we can move on to your next prospect that we have listed. Who do you have?
Jermaine Johnson, your boy.
Oh, that is my boy. He's actually my favorite player in this class. He's not my number one overall rated prospect, but he's my favorite player. If I had the number one pick, I would probably want to take him just because of how much I love him. I think he's a 4-3 defensive end. He could play outside linebacker too. I think he has the schematic.
I think he has the length, the speed, and I think he has the hips to be able to actually drop into coverage.
I was watching Notre Dame versus Florida State this year, and just the same way Kyle Hamilton took over the field on that defense, Jermaine Johnson took over the field on their side of the ball. Number 11 was just all over the field, lined up everywhere. He was lined up next to the nose, next to your defensive tackle. He was lined up on the edge, lined up. I think they even played him a little bit at off-ball linebacker. It's just he was just finding ways to get into the backfield and wreak havoc. And at that moment, watching that game was kind of like my selling point. It's just like, this guy is truly dominant. This guy is taking over the game. This is a guy that can really make a difference at the NFL level. And I honestly think that he can play anywhere along the front seven.
Well, watching that highlight that just came across the screen of him like desecrating the right tackle for Miami University, which is the school that I like, regretfully. Honestly, dude, this guy is a terror.
I think he has the highest ceiling in this draft.
Dude,
I think when it comes to just impact player on the football field, I don't think that there's anybody that could be better than him.
I think he has the quickest get off.
And also, Florida State has probably some of the worst coaching right now in college football.
Oh, dude, they're definitely in a transition phase. I mean, he was definitely part of the older regime that was doing his thing in the new regime, but honestly, man, this guy is the quickest get off of all these guys, and his first step is like, dude, he covers ground on these right tackles or the left tackle. It doesn't really matter what side he's lined up on. Like these tackles want to they come off the ball and they set their feet, but dude, he's already in their chest. That first step is, dude, when you have an elite first step, I mean, just ask an offensive tackle how hard it is when Von Miller's hand is right in their chest the second that they plant their feet and get their head up. Like, I mean, that explosion is
I really liked watching
weapon.
his tape at Georgia last year, but this year it was just he's my favorite player in the draft, and I think he's just going to be a great pro.
The thing that I was basically talking about with Kyle Hamilton, what you were just saying about Florida State and their program's transition, they have been getting blown out, and this is a guy that you see bringing it in the fourth quarter down whatever the team was getting down on, no matter what the offense was doing. They didn't have much offense, whether the game was going south or whatever it was, man. This guy still brought it. Yes. And that's why I have these three guys stacked on top of each other. Like
it's definitely a cluster.
Right. I mean, honestly, like you don't usually have this many edges, and like even if you do, you still have a different grade on them. But I mean, dude, like these guys are all dynamic in so many different ways, man. Like again with the hand, I mean, like I can say like I can point out Aiden Hutchinson's hand usage, and I can say that Trayvon Walker doesn't have the best hands, but it's like, dude, like that's really nitpicking. Like when I say these things, like these guys are all rated so close, like with their grades. Like when I say like this is their weaker trait, like when you're grading all the traits and stacking them on top of each other, like the weaker grade for them is still like an 8.5. Like if out of 10, you know, when you're talking about hand usage or you're talking about, you know, like initial quickness off the line or like jump off the snap or you're talking about play recognition or like being in the right position to set the edge on a run.
Yes. Can we talk? I want to just, before we move on to the next prospect, Jermaine Johnson dominated Senior Bowl practice too. He dominated his peers.
Well, dude, I think he dominated just about everything he touched. I mean,
he might not go in the top 5 of the draft this year. I don't know where you think the conversation for him starts or what his floor and ceiling is for picks, but I don't know. I think I would take him. If you really want an edge rusher that's who I would take. But
the fact that you're saying that over Aiden Hutchinson is pretty impressive for me because I mean, dude, like realistically, you were very high on Brian Burns. I mean, you definitely work your tape. I definitely, you were definitely very well traveled with your players that you like, and they do not. It doesn't matter what school they go to. When you like a guy,
I do. And I've been advocating for the past week that the Chargers need to draft an Ohio State wide receiver.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me.
It is crazy. And like last year, Wyatt Davis was like my favorite lineman. And it's just, you know, I've grown so much as a scout. Let's move on to the next guy, Jordan Davis. Speaking of guys that the Chargers need to look at.
Okay, so this is definitely a guy that me and him were having a personal talk about yesterday because when you know, like I'm a Commanders fan. I'm not fighting the name. I don't fight the name. I don't fight things anymore in my life. I just accept them and move on. Yeah. But he is a Chargers fan, and I told him he would love Herbert, and he does. That is like I think he's like following his like fishing Instagram or something, you know. I think he was like
I know a lot of things about Justin Herbert that I won't admit on camera.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So he definitely loves Justin Herbert, man, and you know, like Key and all these guys, man, and like you know, so we definitely take hard scouts on each other's teams, and I guess you know it's kind of cool that our teams aren't in the same conference, not in the same division, so like we get to be very open and honest. It's almost like having a team, like being a fan of a team, like from the far, and just being able to have like a real live scout with no emotion tied into it.
Yeah,
and I told him that Jordan Davis having that dog in the middle, like being able to basically say no team is going to run that ball and tire us out by the fourth quarter. No team is going to be able to do that anymore. Like we are going to push the pocket from the center, and we are going to have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa just wreak havoc on Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes and Derek Carr. Like Derek Carr, oh my lord! Like I feel sorry for you, buddy, if Jordan Davis goes to the Chargers.
I like Jordan Davis a lot. I don't know if I'm as high. I think when I did it, I looked at my list yesterday, and I have to move some things around. I definitely need to do a couple adjustments. I found 10 players that I would take above Jordan Davis. So Jordan Davis is probably my 11th rated player. So I don't think he's there when we're picking, but just because of the way the NFL values players, he might be, but I don't think he is. I
just, you know, they talk about having concerns about him, you know, being on the field, being able to be on the field in the nickel.
But part of that is just Georgia just had such a rotation going, or not so much a rotation, but they just had so much, much talent that they don't need Jordan Davis to just go in there and just be like, you know, your every down defensive lineman. They used him more in situations and then let him take over games.
But I think the thing is everybody knew that Jordan Davis was like this big mammoth of a guy.
I mean, he looks like
even before the combine, dude, you look at his tape. And are you really surprised that this guy really came out at the size that he is and ran the type of times and like tested the way that he is? Because I mean, dude, when you watch this guy, dude, he just blows everything up, dude. Like, I mean, dude, he is always pushing it because he's always got two guys on him, and he still doesn't move back.
Yeah, and we liked Daron Payne a lot coming out, but
I love Daron Payne's push.
We weren't as high on Vita Vea, and I think I learned something from that.
I definitely learned a little something. I mean, that partially had a
this
little.
guy, this is Vita Vea with like an elite skill set.
This is Vita Vea with Deron Payne's strength. I mean,
Yeah.
like Vita Vea had amazing athletic ability, but he did not play with a good anchor and did not play with amazing strength. He had like this swim. Like Vita Vea like got skinny even for how big of a man he was. Like he knew how to like get through holes.
Penetrate.
Yeah, he had like penetration skills through a gap to where Deron Payne gets his hands up onto you and just
bull rushes.
And bulls you back.
It's like a bulldozer.
To me, I value that bull. Well, dude, this guy is like that bull.
Both. Right. I think he's both.
Right.
He can penetrate.
Right. He can turn his body sideways and move laterally and still get upfield while he's got hands on him.
Those fantastic combine numbers that he put up is just really just icing on the cake.
But I mean, dude, like you watch this guy come in with his hands when he's got two guys on him. He looks like he's literally like about to like uppercut somebody the way he like dances around and just like throws a hand off of him and then slides sideways and just this guy can literally have his shoulder facing north and still push a pocket and get skinny between guys for as big as he is, man. This guy's a freak, man. I am super high on Jordan Davis because like while there might be concerns is he an every down player in this league or is he just somebody that has this amazing skill set and he just is athletically whatever, dude, his motor is there. Like he didn't seem to have a problem when they went against Bama the second time. So like whatever they did, whatever training regimen they implemented to change whatever they needed to like not have the same situation happen, dude, he clearly showed that he can play the amount of snaps that they need to be that type of impact player.
Yeah. Where do you think, just before we move on to the next prospect, where is the highest you could like just see Jordan Davis going? Like just like realistically, like not where you would take him, but where do you think the league is high on him? Where do you think is
the Falcons?
Falcons?
I could see Kyle Smith falling in love with the traits, like the size, the height, weight, speed, the fact that he uses his hands well, and Kyle Smith is just
he just makes good
he has
decisions.
a very amazing feel for what a guy is like in between them lines, like in between the lines. That guy just finds talent, and honestly, man, like you put that in Atlanta, man, it's another step in the right direction. They like athletes.
They do. I mean, look at Kyle Pitts,
right?
The guy that they drafted last year.
I mean, dude, like if nose tackles were really valued like that, I mean, dude, you think Tom Brady wants Jordan Davis running at him? Like even though Atlanta's bad, do you really think Tom Brady wants him like coming at him?
He's like, man, this big bitch won't leave me alone.
Like Tom Brady's like, shit, dude, I might go back. Like hell, I might go back to the beach.
Let's move on to your next prospect, and we're going to start a little run of defensive backs to end the blue chip players, and we're going to go Derek Stingley, a very probably maybe the most divisive player in this class when it comes, or maybe not divisive is the word, but just I feel like there's just a lot of people like either love him or hate him or just like it's a very interesting conversation. But Derek Stingley, I think we both think he's a blue chip prospect for sure.
He's definitely a blue chip prospect. I think the thing about Derek Stingley is, and I know we keep joking about this, and it's definitely just a joke, but Derek Stingley is at number 24. He's amazing. And then when you watch him as number 7.
Yeah,
he's hurt.
Yes,
like he kept getting hurt. And I know number 7 is something that they do at LSU. They give it to their best D-back.
Yeah.
This dude tested very well. At his per day. Clearly showed that he's not suffering from the
4.37, I believe was
4.37, 38.5-inch vert, and 10.8 broad jump or 11.8 broad jump, something like that. It was a very explosive broad jump.
Yeah, but I remember it was a good number.
This guy has Patrick Peterson size with Champ Bailey glue.
Yeah, and Asante ball skills.
Yeah, I mean
Cromartie ball skills.
Yeah, I mean he does, dude. He's got the best individual one season tape of any player in this class. Like if you're just
2019 tape, I think everybody who enjoys football needs to go back and watch LSU play Georgia in 2019 and watch him just. I think what was it against Pickens? Maybe
Pickens.
Yes, just that.
Dude, Pickens is a dog.
He's a good receiver.
And dude,
they were both talk about two freshmen coming in and just dominating the SEC. Pickens and Stingley, but Stingley had the best of it.
And here's the thing that I will say For everything that I'm knocking about him with his number 7 tape, so his sophomore and junior year, he was hurt both years, but teams didn't throw at him very often.
No.
So like everybody wants to point to the Colorado State tape where he, this year he played very excellent. Of course, they should against. Yeah. But dude, LSU has also been going through some stuff since that freshman year of his.
Yeah, especially with
they had
changes, Edo and
Edo. I mean, dude, they went
a fall from grace.
Exactly, dude. They literally had like the most magical run with Joe Burrow and Chase, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and all them guys. And then, dude, like honestly, like. He was literally like just this unicorn on like a unit that was just like it started bleeding fucking yards like it was going out of style.
Honestly, the past 2 years, I think Eli Ricks has been the best corner for the.
He has, Niners. But he's been on the field the whole time. Right. So I mean, like.
But I just think that he's gonna if he comes out next year, I would definitely. And be intrigued. I think he entered the portal.
But see, as part of that, like where you start to have that like Kobe Bryant discussion where it's like teams don't throw at Sauce,
right?
Like they don't throw at Sauce, so like balls go Kobe Bryant's way, and he is just always doing his job,
right?
Like so, it's like when you're getting high volume thrown your way, and you're constantly making like more plays than you're giving up, like at that rate because you're getting tested that much more often, like. There's something to that. There is something to that because are you going to take Kobe Bryant over Sauce Gardner? No. But you can take both of those guys and be comfortable with them. You just know that they're not Stingley or Sauce. Like you just have to be honest with your assessment. I mean, dude, like the film doesn't lie.
The freshman film definitely doesn't lie.
It doesn't, but like, dude, like his film really isn't that bad.
It's not bad.
I mean, dude, like there's a much different approach, like dude, just look at the pass rush these last 2 years. That like it's non-existent. I mean, dude, like guys are missing tackles left and right. I mean, dude, like it's hard for a corner to be on an island and watching like running backs run free to him all game long. He's in there throwing his shoulder into him, and it's like, dude, like they're giving up yards, and like, dude, okay, now I gave up a completion. Like, oh my god, like. I'm, now it's the end of the world because, I'm this elite level prospect and I just gave up a catch, after like running backs running free to me all game with no pass rush. It's like, dude, you are going to give up a play. Like, that is a thing for a corner, dude. Like, a corner can only cover for so long, no matter how good they are.
Right.
And I think he's blue chip still. I still think he's blue chip. Now, I do have a little bit of like mental makeup concerns when it comes to like was he taking plays off or was he given that same effort knowing that his team just was not there? Like
he might be a little bit of a diva.
It could be, but it's like, dude, like sometimes
what corner is it?
Right, dude, you gotta be
what good corner isn't a little bit of a diva.
Right, you gotta be a different animal to play out there anyway.
Yeah.
So it's realistically, man, like I'm not knocking him, dude. I was definitely worried about the Liz Frank injury in a foot for a guy that like is his size, playing and using his feet the way he has, like the way his feet are. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a thing for that, but we'll get back into that later. I mean, Derek Stingley is definitely a blue chip player in this 100%.
draft. 100% should probably go in the top 15 of the draft.
I think if he makes it past the top 15, right,
because Baltimore won't let him get past him. They will make sure that they get him. Let's move on to the next player. Another corner from I think DBU Washington.
This is definitely DBU.
Definitely one of my first draft crushes throughout the year this year. And really, honestly, last year. I remember I was watching. Was there a corner last year that came out of Washington?
Yeah, every year.
Well, every year, but I'm blanking on the name.
I'm blanking on his name too.
But I just remember I was like, 22 is just all over the field. Where is he lined up today? Where is he lined up this play? And it's just like 22 Eli McDuffie. Yeah,
Trent McDuffie.
I was thinking Eli Ricks.
First of all, best last name. Best last name. I
yes. Think. If McDuffie comes to the Chargers, I think I will buy that jersey on draft day, and I think I might just get it and just put Duff on the back.
Right.
Or Duffy.
Trent McDuffie I have as a blue chip player, and this is a different type of evaluation for me because I grade corners and then I grade nickels. And
yes,
if I was just to put him primarily on the outside, I feel like you're wasting this player. So as an outside corner, I actually gave him, I think it was actually a fringe first round grade.
Yeah, that's about. I said I think he's probably a top 40 player
as a nickel and as this hybrid weapon, as this player's traits this player's traits. This is the type of guy that if I'm in the Rams division, I want to select this guy and literally just say when I go up against the Rams.
Shadow.
I know this is like ungodly to put pressure, like ungodly pressure to put on a like rookie or whatever. But I would love to see this guy match up against all these slots and all these guys that just dink and dunk you out of 10 yards, man, because I think this guy is literally the first blue chip nickel. I thought Kendall Fuller was a first round corner because I thought he was a great nickel prospect. And there's just nickel guys. And I'm not saying that because he's just small, shorter arms or whatever, dude. This guy is glue. Hips, oh my God, man. I mean, I know this guy can salsa dance, dude. I bet you this guy can do some you got served dancing. He's amazing.
I think him and Breece Hall have the best vision in the draft.
I can see that.
His vision on the defensive side of
his
the ball.
hand usage.
Yes.
Dude, the way he shuffles his feet on his back pedal and his turns.
This man was made to blow up bubble screens.
Yes, and dude, but he can play outside. He's not, I hate to just call him a nickel because, dude, he can definitely play outside, and he will be a really, really good player outside. And honestly, he will end up outside if you're just saying follow Cooper Kupp around, or you're going to follow this receiver around because that guy is twitched up.
I mean, when you're playing defense, I mean, what percentage of your snaps are you been sub? I mean, really,
right? This guy's on the field. I mean,
long gone are the days where you just line up two corners. It's you got to bring out at least I mean, unless you're bringing out one wide receiver, you're probably going to have three corners.
I mean, dude, to even take this a little bit further, dude, this guy could play safety. I could put this guy as single high safety and honestly feel like he would make a really good impact and probably almost even be Pro Bowl level at that.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I say that because honestly, this Trent McDuffie and my next two guys, honestly, man, I value a skill set that just can bounce around a defense. Depending on week to week, I can use you in a different variation of ways to take out the other team's best player.
Schematic flexibility.
Right, because, dude, these teams, every team is built different nowadays. They always say, there's this cheap saying that you should build it to win your division. No, you should not build it to win your division. You should put the best collection of football players and talents that can do as much as they possibly can, but has that elite level something. You have to be elite at something. You can't just be a jack of all trades but good at none. Great at none of them. You have to be great at something, and this guy's a great nickel. And honestly, man, his feet are great, his movement skills are great, his balance on his turns are great. He breaks on the ball, he can play off zone, he can play man. I like Trent McDuffie.
Willing tackler.
Yes. Oh yeah, dude puts his head in there, man. For a guy his size,
to lower his shoulder. The arm length doesn't scare me.
Does not scare me.
People say he has short arms.
I don't care about that. You know what? Then you know what? Take Roger McCreary off your board because that's a ball player too.
Yeah.
Honestly, man. I get so tired of measurables when it comes to a lot of these things, man. Yes, of course, when they look amazing. When you see that Greek god, yes, you want him, but can he play? Right. Because trust me, dude, LaRon Landry looked pretty damn horrible getting ran over by Brandon Jacobs for all of his, HGH use and everything else that he did.
Tell us how you really feel.
I mean, I'm sorry, dude. I just honestly, man, it hurt. That hurt me. When you pass on Adrian Peterson, and you pick LaRon Landry your 22nd rated player on your board, it hurts. Just sorry.
So number 9, Jalen Petre, however you want to pronounce it. He's a defensive back. I don't know if he's a corner. I don't know if you want to. I think wherever he gets picked, it's kind of going to dictate where he gets lined up. I've seen him play corner. I've seen him play nickel. I've seen him play safety. I think I've even seen him line up at off-ball linebacker at times.
Dude, Jalen Petre is my favorite player. Favorite player.
Yes, and I think some people might be a little surprised. I think you need to do I don't think you have to explain yourself, but explain yourself. Why is Jalen Petre a blue chip player, but yet he's not ranked in the top 20?
Because the NFL is not ready for this guy to be graded in the top 5. And it's simply put off of the diverse skill set where they're just going to look at this guy and they're going to say, "Oh, I can't put him in single high for 17 weeks out of the season. Oh, I can't put him at strong safety for 17 weeks out of the season. Or, oh, I can't put him at nickel corner for 17 weeks out of the season. Or, oh, I can't put him at, off-ball linebacker, that Buffalo nickel or whatever it is. But you know what? Honestly, when I look at his tape, if I break his tape down and I just grade him on each one of those spots, this guy is the player in the draft. He is the defensive player in the draft. I loved Isaiah Simmons coming out of Clemson, dude. I love these hybrid players, but this is the best. Yes. This Jeremy Chin. This is the best one that I have seen on tape. Like, this guy is a wrecking crew, man. Like, you talk about dog tackling. Yes. You talk about speed. I mean, dude, this guy comes off the edge like he's a defensive end. Like, he's got length, man. And dude, if you take him on his measurables and his, like, you want to talk about a guy who also looks good in shorts, put his numbers up with all the elite players at whatever position, and he is there. 3-cone, short shuttle, like 40. Dude, this guy is an electric football player. I'm telling you what, man. If I could just walk into the Commanders draft room at any point and just really screw up everybody's draft day, but pick Jalen Petrie, I promise you they're only going to be mad for a few months. Because if you know how to deploy this player and you go on a week-to-week basis and deploy this player along with Cameron Curl and both of their skill sets, dude, this guy is the guy. I could play him at outside linebacker. I could play him at strong safety. And I promise you, he's Pro Bowl level at almost every one of those positions. Not playing there 17 weeks a season because you're going to go against a team that's run heavy. And of course, I don't want this guy being my outside linebacker going against the Tennessee Titans who are bringing Derrick Henry on, around the corner 35, 40 times a game. So of course he's going to struggle that week. But I'll promise you one thing, he's going to be in the box at strong safety because I promise you, he's going to be blowing plays up and he's going to be rushing the passer and he's going to be that guy.
Yeah. Also, Senior Bowl standout, in my opinion. I think in the second half of the game, he kind of took over. I mean, it's kind of hard to say a defensive back takes over a game in the Senior Bowl.
But when you watch him when you watch him at Baylor, he does.
Yes.
He's like legit, dude. Turn on any Baylor game, and I promise you, dude, if you don't even know his number, you will know who he is before the game is over because he just makes every play. If that football is somewhere on the field, I promise you, so is number 8.
I think a team's going to get tremendous value with him.
Like, trust me, dude, for everything that I love about Kyle Hamilton, and I feel like all the disrespect that people talk about Kyle Hamilton, for everybody that just looks around and grades this guy, like it's literally just he's just the new thing. This is the best of the new thing. And like I said, like my grades on this top 100 ranking that I'm using are not updated. I actually moved Jalen Petrie into like up to like 16, I think, or 13. And like honestly, I want to throw him higher, but it's like I'm not that bold yet. Like I'm just not that bold. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep going by off of the things that I've learned over all the years because sometimes these hybrid players go to the wrong team and they do not know how to use them. But that's not going to be his fault.
Yeah.
And that would not be, like, that's something that I'm not going to knock Isaiah Simmons for. Right. Like, it's not the player. It is how they are deployed.
Right.
Like, but I promise you, you get, like, that defensive mind that's, like just ahead of the game, like a Sean McVay on offense or, like, the Kyle Shanahan. Like, dude, you put that guy with the defensive coordinator that knows how to do that type of stuff on defense, and I promise you, this guy is probably the best player to come out of this draft. When we're looking back, if he goes to one of these coordinators that just really knows how to deploy a guy from week to week, that's the guy.
So, Jack Del Rio, do your homework.
Please. He's probably going to Atlanta. Kyle Smith will be all over this guy, and I hate to say that because
and Richie Grant in the backfield with AJ Terrell.
Good Lord, man.
You're building something there. We're going to move on to your last blue chip player that you have on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to go dip into Michigan's talent pool again. Daxton Hill. I think he's a free safety. A lot of people think that he could play corner. I think he can play corner. I don't know if I would line him up at outside corner. I think you could definitely have him play in the nickel for sure.
This guy's traded up.
Yes.
He tackles. He's that
when
dude.
I think of,
he's an alpha.
Yes, and I think he is the rangiest safety, maybe other than Brisker. I think Brisker might be a little bit more rangy, but
see, he's even quick. Like, dude, like he's even more traitsy than Brisker. Honestly, dude. Like, I honestly like. I think they do really good. I think the defensive court, dude, whoever is deploying and finding these guys at Penn State is doing a really great job. But this isn't about Brisker. Yeah. Brisker is on my list of guys that has all these blue chip traits, but he's like his grades and just certain traits are what keep him from being a blue chip prospect to where he's like, in this scheme or this scheme or this scheme, he's a blue chip player.
I think in order to be a blue chip prospect, you have to be complete. And
right.
We're
and
saying that we have a list of guys that aren't complete, but they have traits that make them.
But when they get but when they get to the right team or the right fit, that's where they become the blue chip list.
All the players that we've mentioned, we think that
I
they
can go anywhere
and flourish.
Right.
And Daxton Hill, I think Daxton Hill is going to go a lot higher than people think. I think he's going to go in the top 20. I think there's going to be a team that falls in love with him. Maybe the Eagles. They like to. They could use some secondary help. He's just a short tackler. I think he's a 3-year starter at Michigan. I've watched him for a long time. I feel like I've been watching Daxton Hill for like the past 4 or 5 years of my life. It's just,
dude,
I really enjoy
he's going to end this little stigma about safeties coming out of Michigan from the Jabril Peppers and like those but
Jabril Peppers was more of like a utility.
No, he definitely was. He definitely was. But this guy is a true free.
And Jabril was a returner too. That's part of like why.
This guy can play the box, but he can play corner. Like I said. The more things that you can do. When I grade him at how he plays corner or how he plays the deep third or the deep middle and he's single high, this guy is elite. This guy is elite at all the things that he does. His flash on the ball, his eyes. He's never caught flat-footed. He's not caught looking. Like, he can do that. He can rush the passer. Like, dude, like, he is a lightning rod, man. Like,
he's explosive.
And he's fast as all get out, dude. Like,
so fast.
Like, quick twitch. Like, I mean, honestly, like, I've seen him outside get beat on, like, a little 1-2 off the line, and, like, the receiver, like, runs out and the quarterback puts the ball up. Man, his closing speed is, like, it's elite, dude. Like I said, when you start breaking down the traits, and you start grading them individually on each individual trait, and then you start stacking those grades up, and you get his basically his grade, dude, this guy is lights out, and then you put on the tape and just see the production and just see how he plays in the Big Ten, dude. The Big Ten is big boy football. Yeah. They run the ball, and he tackles like a man. Like, dude, like, you know, a lot of, like, you know, they always say the thing about free safeties, and again, they're not important, but guess what? When they're out of position, it's important. You know, get caught out of position against Tom Brady, and it's 6. Get caught out of position against Patrick Mahomes, and it's 6. This guy is not going to be out of position, and I promise you, when the ball comes running his way, he ain't shying away from it. Like, and he has ball skills.
Yes, 100%.
Like, dude, I don't know. Like, just very clean player. Like, very clean player.
I think he's a slam dunk first-round pick, and I think he's going to go high.
I think he is, too. I think the only thing that keeps him out is, again, the positional value for how it's, like, looked at league-wide or just in this media consensus, like, or just the perception of safeties. But, dude, like I said, safety is not important until you don't have one. And honestly, man, like, this defensive back class, it is not just the corners. It is not just the safeties, and the fact that there's actually multiple safeties that I would love to have on this team, on my team, or like, you know, if any team that just needs one, man, this is the year to find one. But it's like there's multiple guys, and then it's like, oh, you got these nickel guys that are just. This is the year. You know, we've always talked about these wide receivers. We always talk about wide receivers, like, oh, these classes, you know, with the Terry Max and, you know, DK Metcalf, AJ Browns. You know, you're finding these guys in the second round. Well, this is the year that it's going to shift back. Like, the league always shifts. You know, it's run heavy, and then you know what? Well, the running backs get expensive. Well, now we're gonna double up the running backs, and we're gonna go wide receiver heavy, and the league shifts. And it's like, you know, now you got all these D-backs that can't cover the slots. You got these big D-backs that can't cover slots. Well, you know, D-backs start to adjust, and it's like, dude, the league always cycles, and the teams that are going to get these D-backs are going to be ahead of the curve. This is the curve. When you draft, you want to draft to the strength of the draft. Every draft is different. You don't want to follow the Los Angeles Rams because of what they did to build their team. That's outdated now. What the Rams do is they find the best talent available, and they did it their way. This year, there's a different way. And next year, there will be a different way. And the best way to do that is to chase and follow the best talent. And the best talent this year is on defense, and it is definitely these D-backs. Now, high end, this edge class is elite.
Oh, yeah.
But throughout the draft, the edges fall off. The defensive, like, mid players kind of fall off. I don't even know if, like, there's really the elites once you get past the UConn guy and the, like,
Travis Jones.
Yes, and, like, you know,
there's some guys.
Devontae Wyatts of the world. Like,
right.
There's some guys from some small schools, and there's guys that you're going to take the risk on their traits, but it's like,
right.
But, dude, I mean, dude, I could talk about Alontae Taylor, the cornerback from Tennessee. I mean, dude, I can name these corners, and I'm talking about all over the place, man. Yes, Tyreek Woolen, man, big traitsy guy. I mean, he's a little bit stiff, but dude, that guy's a dog from UTSA.
Lay the wood. Scene, Georgia safety,
Scene, man. Like it's just
Jaquan Brisker.
Yes, dude. Like all I'm saying is
Kyer Elam.
Oh, Kyer Elam. I love this guy. Andrew Booth. Kyler Gordon. I mean, dude,
literally,
like we can go on, and I'm just telling you that when I look at this D-back class, I'm talking about guys in this 3rd and 4th round. They are going to be making huge impacts on Sundays, man. These guys are elite. They're traded up, man. Like I said,
I'm sure every team will want to come out of this class with a defensive back at some point. There's definitely no way I'm not taking one of them.
Dude, with what I watch on my team, knowing what my team needs, they got to get a D-back. I don't care if it's safety or corner or both, because honestly, man, like, give Chase Young and Montez Sweat a little bit of time.
I know you're so high on Kyle and Sauce, and like those are your 2 guys that you're just praying fall. But
right.
Like, dude, I think Daxton Hill would be
Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill, I would be elated. Jalen Petrie, I would be elated. Trent McDuffie, I would be elated. Derek Stingley, I would be elated. Yeah. Tyreek Woolen, I would be elated. Kyer Elam, I would be elated. Like, I mean, dude, like, I can go on. I can give you some 4th round guys, and I'd be elated. Kobe Bryant. I mean, dude, I will name the guys.
Yeah. There's tons of players. I mean, there's tons of blue chip value in this draft.
Like we said, man. Like
Getting Jaquan Brisker at the end of the 2nd round is like a blue chip value in my opinion. Dude, even though he's not a blue chip player, that's just like that's a value. That's
if you get Jaquan Brisker in the 2nd round, I think that's a pretty damn steal, man, for any other year. Like I said, if I was grading these guys out, man, like what? Like I said, like Jalen Petrie is not a safety just in my book, man. Like he's part of that nickel
I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking back at this and like this might be the best safety defensive back class that ever come out.
I am almost putting my name on that. Like honestly, dude, like I almost don't even care where they go at this point, and that's not something I ever say. Right. Like I'm always like, man, if he goes here, trust me, that's gold. But it's like, dude, like I could almost just say, just go somewhere with a guy that's competent and like just stay healthy. Like that's realistically what I say about this D-back class.
Yeah. Okay, we're just going to touch on a couple more quick prospects. We're not going to do a full deep dive. What do you like about Andrew Booth Jr.?
Dude, dog, tackle. He shadows well, man. Like, honestly, he's Carlos Rogers with better hands.
Ooh, that's a good comment.
That's honestly what I see.
Definitely better hands.
So like, dude, like when people think about Carlos Rogers, they don't think anything. But dude, like realistically, man, that got shadowed and like locked down like the 2nd spot, and it's like, like. If I'm a team, like if I'm the Chargers and I pick Andrew Booth Jr., and it's like I got 2 playmakers. I got Asante Samuel that I'm going to run in the nickel, and I'm going to run J.C. Jackson on the outside. Right. Now I got the guy that I just say, just be physical with. Right. Whoever the big receiver is that they're going to like go at me with, Booth, just play your game. Play your game for 60 minutes, and I promise you we're going to get a turnover.
Right. Nakobe Dean, linebacker, Georgia.
Dude, he's just small, and honestly, like that's not something that bothers me. He didn't test, so there's like a little bit of like always like, does he have some injury things, or is he hidden behind Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis?
And like those other great linebackers, and Clay Walker, Channing Tindall.
Right, like is he just whatever? But dude, I tell you what, man, like London Fletcher. I'm just going to say London Fletcher. Like when I see Nakobe Dean, like everybody wants to say
Vilma?
Jonathan Vilma.
Yeah. DJ started that one.
London Fletcher.
Yeah.
London Fletcher. Dude, just
relentless.
Okay, for whatever his size is, for whatever it is, dude. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he does run a 4.6 or a 4.7, but dude, on that football field, he runs a 4.4. If the guy running away from him runs a 4.5,
right? Like
it's just, dude. I don't know, dude. Like. I don't care. He is small, but dude, he
should be a 1st round pick.
He is that dude. He is that dude.
We're gonna move down the list. Devontae Wyatt, another Georgia player, defensive tackle.
Dude,
he's solid.
He is very solid. But if there was one thing I did notice about Wyatt was if there was one player on that defense that was moving backwards, it was him. Not often.
Interesting. That's interesting for you to notice that.
That's the only thing that kept him out of my blue chip, dude, because he has the good hands and he has really good whatever. But like that, for what I was saying about like like Jordan Davis being able to close through a gap, like no matter what he did, whether he did it with power or he did it with finesse.
Right.
I just noticed that Devontae Wyatt would sometimes get stuck on blocks, or he would like be the one that was like moving backwards a little, almost creating a lane for N'Kobe Dean to run in between Davis and Wyatt. Like,
right,
dude, it's a nitpicky thing, but dude, like we watched a ton of Georgia, and that's the only player that that if I saw anything on it, that was it, and that's a nitpicky ass knock. Like he's there. I don't want him in my division.
No. We don't want any of the guys we talked about in our division.
Right. No, the next
Send them
one.
all to the AFC South or something.
No, the next one.
Perrion Winfrey?
No. Kayvon. Oh, Perrion Winfrey. Okay, we'll go. My bad. I went to Kayvon Thibodeau, but Perrion Winfrey, stud, complete. The Justin Herbert thing, like what I was telling you about just not being in the right system, not being used properly. Like Oklahoma's always had good D tackles, and he flashes when he's pursuing forward.
This guy reminds me of Chris Jones when I watch him at his best. That's what he should be
dude. You do not two gap this guy. You do not let him like hold a line and try to react.
He's not a nose tackle.
You run him.
Pass rusher.
Yes, you push
tackle position.
But he can play the run. Like you saw in the Senior Bowl, him playing the run because he was coming forward. But he was in that jet scheme where they're one gap in your ass. They're moving forward on you all the time. They're coming after you. It doesn't matter. Like they're coming after the quarterback to get to wherever the ball is. If he hands it off, well, we're going there too.
Is he shorter? I don't have his measurables in front, but I think he might only be like 6'2", right?
He's definitely a little shorter on the height, but his length, his arm length, dude, he gets low. Like, I mean, if we're like, dude, like, I mean, when people talk about somebody being a little bit shorter, well, again, he's not Aaron Donald.
Okay, he's 6'4". I thought he was 6'2".
No, but he plays low. Like, he plays low. Like, when you watch him, you don't see him play high. Like, you don't see him just go straight up, man. He's always playing with leverage, so he does look shorter.
Right.
Which is a good thing when you're a defensive lineman, man. You're getting up under them pads, man. You're pushing guys back. He definitely shows that. He has burst off the ball. Like, he's very quick off the snap. Kyer Elam.
Yeah.
Same thing with Tariq Woolen almost. Tyreek Woolen's a little bit more stiff than Kyer Elam. Kyer Elam in Florida, man, honestly, I'm not a big fan of how they deploy their cornerbacks, man, because they almost just like put you in this box and they just say, you better run our scheme.
Right.
But he can play press, man, and he's shown that his game
got size, for sure.
And his game improved in zone. So like realistically, man, like I watched a guy that should not be realistically playing zone for his build, being used constantly in zone. But dude, like when you see him like sneak up to the line every now and again, this guy plays really excellent like man skills. He's going to press the hell out of you, and he's got pretty good bursts in recovery speed for a guy that's kind of as stiff as he is in his turns and all that. So like, it's not a guy that I worry about. I think the stiffness and a couple little things, but he throws his head in there in the tackle game.
Let's move on to Devin Lloyd, linebacker from Utah.
Dude, Devin Lloyd is a stud, hard-nosed football player. I was never on the hype train with him. Like I know, like. Postseason and during the season, man, everybody, oh man, he's the one. But dude, like I yes, you see the length and you see how he just closes the gap.
I think he dominated a weaker conference, to be honest. I watched him play at Utah, and
he's from Utah. He's tough.
Yes, and he's well coached.
But dude, I've seen him hurt multiple times.
I think people are going to run through his tackles, to be honest. Dude, I think people are going to. I think he's going to have a harder time bringing down bigger players,
dude. I just saw him struggle to hold up.
Yes.
Already in that conference, that's not pounding on your ass. So it's like I just have like some durability concerns with Devin Lloyd. Almost the same concerns that I have from the NC State linebacker that stayed in this year because he got hurt. Number one, nor here nor there. I think his last name's Knight, but just that's next year's tape.
Right.
Kayvon Thibodeau. Dude, he's going to go drafted way higher than what I got him graded at, but I see effort. I see effort lapses, and I don't see him dominate a conference that I don't have high grades on their left tackles.
My thing about Kayvon Thibodeau is that I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a decent pro, but I just wouldn't take him over the guys that we talked about that are blue chip. And honestly,
that's what I mean.
The thing is, it's like I want all those guys first, and then if Jermaine Johnson, Tremaine,
but he's going to go up there with them.
Well, that's the league.
But I know, no, because
Right.
because when you look at this guy staturally, he's there with them, and then if you watch him against UCLA or you watch him against these certain schools, but like, dude, like I can give you my grades so far, my notes on the guys that he's going against where he's having these impacts, and it's almost the same thing that I got against Devin Lloyd. It's like, dude, when the games that I made sure that I watched Devin Lloyd in because it was like, oh, okay, man, these guys get to the second level well. Let's see if he can like block shed or like. It was the things. It was the
see him go invisible a lot during the game.
That's what I mean. Like it's you. Devin Lloyd, I wanted to see him like when you get a guard that comes to his ass on the second level, you want to see him be able to like shed that block. On the games that I made sure I watched, he just didn't do it. There's just when you were watching certain games where you watch the matchup where you're like, okay, this is going to be the game that you really are going to determine. Is he really going against that level of competition? There's some motor things. Yes, he can explode off the ball, and yes, man, he will light your ass up if he gets
he's got the tools,
and he will run a play down. He will run a running back down from the other side, dude, he is athletically there.
Oh, definitely.
And when he's there, but it's when he's not, he's not.
I think he needs to go to a really good coach, maybe get the best out of him, and just maybe get with some good veterans.
Dude, honestly, like I would actually kind of like to see him go to the Texans with Lovie Smith because I think Lovie Smith is a guy that no matter what. You want to talk about win-loss record or whatever, man. Like Lovie Smith gets his players to play hard. Like that's the perfect guy to change a losing culture.
I like his sophomore tape a lot more than I like his.
There's a reason he came in as a consensus number one. Into this year. There's just questions.
We talked about Brisker for a little bit. Let's just touch on him real quick, and then I think that's going to wrap the pod up. But probably my last high-end safety in this class, I'd say, is Jaquan Brisker. I think he's
he was. I
think he's kind of a free safety.
And see, I think he's got like that. That's the thing. Like, I think he is a free safety, but I think his traits tell you that he'd be an elite strong. But I feel like it's easier to find a strong safety than it is to like plug a little bit lesser strong safety and get better value than to and I think a team's going to play him at free. Like, I just think he's going to end up being at free. And like, I think if you put him at single high a lot, I think that's almost the same thing that I talk about with Kyle Hamilton. You play him at single high a lot, I think it's going to be a problem. And that's the problem that I have is because I think he is projected to be a free safety. But
and I think Penn State did line him up at nickel too a little bit.
They did.
I think his coverage skills are good.
His coverage skills are good. I think he struggles sometimes in zone and he gets caught flat-footed, and that's why I mean like I don't think he's just that predominantly free safety. Like when you get caught flat-footed as a safety,
I think if I were to take Jaquan Brisker, I think I would want to have a good safety partner for him.
That's basically what I'm saying. It's like dude, you got to be able to like know your matchups and know
if you do a lot of double high safety, like two high safety, you run man-to-man defense on your corners, and then you have your two safeties drop back. Or I think that's where he would flourish.
I saw Brisker get. I in my notes I had Jaquan Brisker getting caught flat-footed last year a total of 6 times.
Okay.
And all 6 times they ended up in big plays. And it wasn't because he didn't close the gap on him and show his elite recovery speed, but that tick slow. Flat-footed safeties, man, they will cost you 40-6. 40 yards to 6 points.
Oh yeah.
And that's if
your safety's getting burned, that's a touchdown.
Again, it's very nitpick. He's an elite level prospect.
Yeah.
I just have him a tick below. And that's really my blue chip players for defense.
I think that's probably about it. I think that's about the pod.
I think we did a pretty good job of realistically like explaining what makes them different and what really does like
what makes a player blue chip versus what the blue chip traits are.
Right, and there are going to be defensive players that go in between some of these guys just because of like what players want, and like realistically there's going to be some blue chip offensive players and there's going to be quarterbacks taken.
Value.
Right. Positional value makes the difference.
Need.
Right. It's just,
Right. Strengths and weaknesses of the draft. It's like, there's so much corner and defensive back value that, maybe they get pushed down the board than maybe the middle rounds.
And again, the guys that we talked about early that we really like did our highlights on, I mean, that realistically, the explanation is realistically, I think depending on where they go, I don't think that it has so much on the impact that they're going to have in the league. They're still going to be really good players.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you blue chip. And that's why we do the blue chip podcast. That's why we do all the scouting that we do.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, man. Peace out, Simba.